Guys, last night it got below freezing here in Austin. I know to some of you Southern Canadians in Wisconsin and Minnesota, that's nothing, but here that means that the first seal has been broken and the apocalypse is upon us. In case you were wondering, yes, the world literally does grind to a halt here, even if there's a light dusting of snow on the ground. You'd think that all with those big trucks we'd know how to find four-wheel drive, but that means that for the rest of the northern states, the riding season is well and truly in hibernation. However, that doesn't mean that you have to lock your bike in the garage on stands for months while you longingly count off the days until it's warm enough to go outside again. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do with your bike while you can't ride. Now, while most of this list is meant for people who aren't able to ride due to weather, I suppose that most of them can be applied to those who've had an accident and are waiting to heal up or have their bike repaired as well. But regardless of your situation, one thing you should be doing all the time, not just in the winter months, is shaving your junk. Yeah, you thought new year, new million subscriber yam? Nope. Ball shavers, my dude. Manscaped was back in the channel many moons ago, and they're still around, baby. It's the 10th of January today, which means that most of your New Year's resolutions are already broken, but it's not too late to get started on your year of smooth skin and non-stanky testicles. Manscaped has all the tools you need to keep your manly bits clean as a whistle, so when it's time to get fully torqued, you're ready to go. The Lawnmower 4.0, the world's most sophisticated pube trimmer with wireless charging, longer battery life, and adjustable trimmer guards. Then you've got the Shears 2.0 and Weed Whacker for fingernails and nose hair respectively, and a bunch of deodorants and colognes to keep you smelling nice all day long. Guys, seriously, Manscaped is going public. They've grown to a crazy amount. I kind of wish I got paid in stock at this point, but it is what it is. Click that link down below and get the Perfect Package 4.0 with all this goodness in one box and get 20% off your order automatically. Alright, with that out of the way, let's start out with the first and most important thing you should do with your bike when you can't ride, and that's maintain your motorcycle. Let's be real, when the riding season is in full swing, most of us will occasionally forego the odd chain cleaning and cable setup in favor of actually riding your bike. God damn, dude! The only problem with that is that missing those maintenance items will create small and compounding problems with your ride that might attribute to the bike just being slow or bad. In reality, you're the one who's slow and bad. Let's talk briefly about the chain, since it's one of the most frequent maintenance items I see people skipping. Your chain stretches as it ages, meaning that after a few hundred or even maybe 1,000 miles, your chain is physically longer than it used to be, and not by a little either. This will cause slack in the final drive, which results in a delay between throttle opening and the bike moving forward, as the gears need to take out the slack in the chain before they can move the wheel. Also, since chain wear isn't uniform, you might notice your bike feels choppy and you think you need a new fuel map, when really all you need is to adjust your chain. Same with your cables. If you feel like your throttle, clutch, or even your brakes feel sloppy, you don't need a new master cylinder or a new bike. You just need to spend 5 minutes in the garage with some WD-40 and brake fluid. Go through your maintenance chart in your owner's manual and knock out the things you can, and then for everything else, see if you can teach yourself how to do it. You'd be surprised how simple a lot of the most daunting things in the service manual can be if you watch a few YouTube videos first and you have the right tools. Also, you got nothing better to do, right? Next up, and while some people might see this as part of basic maintenance, I like to put it in a separate category, and that's repairing your bike. Riding your motorcycle around, especially in wet conditions or in salty air, can lead to rust building up on bolts, chipping and fading paint, or maybe even some cracks in your seats or rubber grips. All those things lead to a motorcycle feeling older and crustier than it actually is. This is the perfect activity for captivity when you've got nothing better to do, since it's a long and sometimes arduous process anyways. Start out by giving your bike a thorough wash. Clean every nook and cranny, including under your seats, and then start making a list of things that need to be repaired or replaced. For paint chips, dig up your motorcycle's color code and head over to Colorite and get some paint pens so you can fill in any imperfections. They might not look perfect, but at least you won't see bare metal. If you have bolts that need replacing, see if you can buy a bolt kit for your bike and then carefully remove the old one and chuck it in the dumpster. Fresh bolts will make working on your bike in the future so much easier. If you have rust building up on your forks or other metal surfaces, a little white vinegar and a toothbrush will help remove it. Otherwise, you can go bootleg and find some Diet Coke and aluminum foil. There's no getting around of cracked fairing, those are going to be expensive, but at the end of the day, it's worth replacing if you have any damage. Not only will fixing these problems on your motorcycle make you happy to own it again, but it'll increase the resale value just a bit when you actually go and sell the bike. Just remember, this is an ongoing process, so you have to redo some of these things next year. Third, Mod your motorcycle. This is the fun one because you're going to make a big change to your motorcycle and you'll be able to enjoy it all season long. Maybe during the riding season you swapped your exhaust but never got around to installing a new tune, or maybe you want to do that crazy airbox mod you saw on your bike's forum somewhere. Those are usually big jobs, and if they don't require special tools, they would probably require a lot of time. Setting aside a weekend during the riding season might be tough, but in the off season, it doesn't really matter if your power commander takes you 5 weeks to install. It really shouldn't, but you never know. I would recommend saving major projects where you need to keep your bike in the garage for a few days for the winter so you don't feel the need to rush through them. There's nothing worse than trying to get a big job done in a tight time frame and making a mistake that costs you way more time and money because you're trying to get it done as fast as possible. Also, you'll have some time to save up some cash. You don't need to plop it on the old credit card. Or maybe you want to because you want to get those sweet, sweet points. Fourth, clean your riding gear. You don't need to walk around like that one kid from Peanuts with a dirt cloud around him all the time. Just spend a day cleaning your gear. Most of it's going to be machine washable, and the stuff that isn't can be cleaned out with some soapy water and you'll be fine. Start by pulling the protective pads out and giving them a quick check. If they're a viscoelastic pad like a D3O or something similar, just make sure it's not cracking or tearing and that hasn't hardened. If it's showing any bad signs of wear, just replace it. A new set is like 30 to 50 bucks, which is worth it in case you get into an accident. If you have foam and plastic ones like you might find in a Dainese jacket, you might want to replace those as they tend to not hold up as well to daily abuse. Once you pull the pads, you can toss your textile jacket in the wash. Just remember to hang dry instead of using the dryer. If you have leather gear, get some conditioner and treat the outside so it doesn't crack. You should also look into cleaning the lining. Gloves, you should probably just replace. They're only 60 to 100 bucks a pair, so chuck the old ones and start fresh if they're that bad. For your helmet, some of the liners can be washed, but I'd highly recommend just replacing them. You'll have to break in the pads again, but your helmet will fit tight again. While you're in there, make sure your EPS foam is still in good shape and your outer shell has some chips and scratches in it. You might as well replace it. You only got the one brain. Number 5, if you're traveling somewhere warm for a winter getaway, bring your riding gear along and rent a motorcycle while you're there. If you've never ridden around there, ask the owner for some recommendations for twisties to hit or some cool sights to see. Renting a motorcycle is cool because you get to spend extended seat time on a motorcycle you might not be able to otherwise. Maybe you're rolling around an MT-07 and you want to test what a faster bike is like. You can get yourself a nice middleweight and get a solid test ride in without some dealership sales goon leading you around the block. You can try a bunch of different styles or displacements and see if there's something out there that you might not have thought of that's worth adding to the stable. I know you're probably going to want to rent something with the biggest engine out there so you can pop dank nooners. But I highly recommend you look at other styles of bikes that you normally wouldn't ride. Consider an opportunity to broaden your horizons. They're usually cheaper than leader bikes to rent anyways. That, or don't listen to me and spend a bunch of cash on a leader bike and never leave second gear. That works too. Be sure to use a service like Twisted Road. I'm an investor in the company. It's a great service. You should check it out. Rent a bike there. It's a good thing to do. Number 6, watch Moto GP. Moto GP is amazing. The video pass is like $100 or something for a year, and you get to watch all the old races and the new season, which starts in March, but you'll also get to watch the old races from the archives as well. All of the great battles you hear people talk about as being the golden era of motorcycling racing are right up there for you to watch. If you're worried about getting into GP because there's a whole bunch of names that you'll be able to learn, it's actually really simple. There's only 22 riders and a handful of teams. You'll be able to figure it out in a weekend. Some of the rules are a little bit technical, but the announcers do a really good job of keeping you up to date on what is going on. If you're at all interested in motorcycle racing and riding, I think watching GP is great because it shows you what the bikes are capable of in the hands of some of the world's most talented aliens. Yeah, those guys might look like normal humans, but in reality, they're highly evolved extraterrestrials wearing flawless skin suits. Also, if you're in the Texas area or willing to travel, we have the only North American race here in Austin, or at least we might if COTA repaves Turn 10. Come on, COTA, don't do this to me. I still haven't seen a race in person. Last up today, go shopping for your next motorcycle. Let's face it, you always want another motorcycle. Maybe it's a second bike to ride for the little variety, or maybe the old steed doesn't satisfy your squidding sensibilities anymore and you need to replace it. Either way, we all look online for our next motorcycle. If you're serious about buying another motorcycle, it's helpful to have a list of things you like about your bike and those things you don't so that you have them in mind when you're looking at your next bike. If you want something more comfortable and a little bit faster, it doesn't make sense to replace a 650 with a leader bike. You'd probably want to look at a middleweight or a hyper naked. Likewise, if you're looking for something good for a racetrack, then you probably shouldn't pick up an ADV. But think about stuff like technology, the ability to haul luggage, or maybe riding with the passenger. All those things are worth keeping in mind. Just don't pull the trigger on the first bike you see. Take your time, come up with a list of models, DM me with the nebulous word thoughts, and ignore my advice, and then buy a Turbo Busa. Fact: today more messages are sent using carrier pigeons than are sent via fax. Is that true? I don't know. Google it. Goodbye.
Hey you. Yeah. click the Yammie Noob video right over there. You should do it. Click that video. Keep watching. Some good stuff. You should really check it out. Hey, look over there. Go click the video. Look, go click it. Click it right now. Do it. Do it. Click that video right now. Do it. Do it. Do it.